Hello and welcome back
to the In Your Mind podcast. I feel like doing a whoop whoop every time we do that.
Whoop, whoop.
Air horn, confetti. Yeah,
That was like a fairy horn.
maybe next season.
Stay tuned.
We'll have fireworks at the beginning of every episode. That'll be crazy.
Yeah, or like just like straight fire. Just like fire in the
Or
background.
every time, yeah, we have one of those
Yeah,
in the
like
back. You
fire
just press a
guns.
button every time someone says just straight fire.
Any time anyone says something really good, you're just like, yeah, hit that fire button.
Yeah.
Hit that fire button.
Crazy. Or it's just a massive button.
Yeah, right in the middle. So dramatic.
Yeah.
Well, how's your morning been?
I'm glad you asked. I woke up and then I went back to sleep for a little bit more. And then I woke up again. I did my visualization, 10 minutes of visualization. And then I got up, came out. You had already made me a coffee. Incredible. Brought tears to my eyes. And said, do you want to record a podcast?
Are we missing a step here?
Not yet.
Oh.
I said, and you said, yeah, let's do it. So we get stuff set up. And I go in to fill my water bottle up. So I have my water. And it's not empty. And for those who've been... Sorry?
By not empty, what do you mean?
Yeah, and for those who haven't been following along, I'm doing this thing called 75 Hard. And I'm on phase 1, which is a 30-day phase of the Live Hard program. It's part of 75 Hard. And one of the tasks is you have to drink a gallon of water every single day. And I've failed one round before on day 28 out of 30 for not drinking all of my water. And I woke up this morning.
Wait, and by saying like he hasn't drunk all of his water, like you pick it up, you think it's empty, and then you give it a little, like shake, and then you're like, oh, there is like a couple drips in there.
That's not true.
It's like, it's so minute, which is like even more frustrating. Like, okay, there's a bit more than a couple drips, but like a mouthful, like honestly, like a mouthful. So. Yeah, like I get frustrated by it, so I can't imagine like you.
And so this is my second time, and I'm currently on day like 27 out of 30. Well, I was. Until I went to go fill up my water bottle. And I did the little shaky shake, and it went splooshy sploosh, and I went, oh no. Not again.
Yeah.
So
Splooshy
I've
sploosh.
currently done 135 days in a row. And we're starting again. Because 75 Hard is 75 days. And then I've done 28 days and failed. And then I've done 26, 7 or 8 days just now and I've failed. So it's not quite 135 days. But I'm going to be freaking half a year straight on this thing, bro.
Yeah.
So
Just
yeah,
phase 1.
that was my morning. Lots of work still to do.
Like it's just so crazy that the same thing has happened twice at like the same point
Yeah.
of time. Like it's really testing you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because I feel tested. Like as soon as he said that,
Bro,
he
your
picked it
reaction was
up.
worse than mine.
It was. He picked up the water bottle, went splooshy sploosh, and there was splooshy sploosh.
You
like,
left the room.
Yeah, I shut the door. I was like, no, like, this can't be happening. Yeah, so I shut the door and I walked away. And then I came back and I was like, okay, that was a bit dramatic. I just feel for you. And I guess it's really the letdown point, where it came from was like having expectations of like, oh, like in 3 days, like we'll do this thing. And then it being like, oh, nah.
You know what's wild?
What?
The first time I failed, you remember what I said towards the end? I was like, I'll be finished this day if I don't fail.
Did you?
Do you remember that?
No.
And then a couple of days ago, what did I say?
Yeah, you said if I don't fail. Yeah. Because I said, oh, we can go have pizza. And you're like, yeah, if I don't fail. I was like, oh, you're not going to fail. Like in my head, it's like so...
I think that might have been a contributing factor. Because if I'm speaking like that, then I'm expecting some sort of... Like I'm not expecting to be flawless.
Yeah.
Like I'm speaking error into my life before it's happened.
Yeah.
A lot of lessons.
A lot of lessons.
A lot of lessons. And that's why I'm doing it.
Totally.
Because a lot of people look at that and go, bro, you've done it 2 times in a row and it's like this much water.
Yeah.
What are you doing? But like that much water to any other person doesn't mean anything. But for me, I can get so much out of this much water.
What can you get out of it?
All the lessons. You know, like I probably shouldn't leave my visualization so late. That's why I did it in the morning. The order of doing things is really important because if I visualize, then I'm quite
Out of it.
And that was, I did that last time and that's why I failed as well.
Yeah.
So like, there's a lot of little things that you can take from it.
It's good. It's good that you're getting something out of it. Even in these like hard moments. Like I guess that's when it really does test you.
Well, that's when you can find them. Like that's the only place you can find them. Like you don't find them when things are going great.
Yeah. Well, kind of on a similar topic.
Kind of.
Yeah. Today we were thinking of talking about doing like another kind of debate style episode where we talk about like a dichotomy. So like a dark energy versus like a light energy, which for us is just meaning like with dark energy, we're just seeing it as though like we're framing it.
In simple terms,
I can't find
it's
the words.
using like dark energy or negative emotions as motivation to go and do something versus positive emotions to go and do something. Like if you're fueled by positive emotions, you'll be motivated by love, happiness, compassion,
Gratitude.
inspiration, gratitude. Or if you're motivated by dark energy, it would be pain, it would be fear, it would be all of those types of things.
It's kind of like the Jedi. Like,
Jedi or Sith Lord.
yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of is that, like the dark energy and the light energy.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about
Well,
like
it's exactly that.
Yeah.
Like if you look at how they're motivated, that's how they're motivated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're saying like it kind of is a motivation state, or like there's this force behind you that makes you do things. And I feel like everybody has both parts in them. Like that's just human nature. But it's being able to like see it when it's pushing you to do something and choosing if that's the right lens to come at it or not.
If it's
and when to block it or when to say yes.
Yeah.
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 So what does using dark energy or dark emotions or motivation in your life look like or has looked like?
For me personally, I think fear is a massive one.
Yeah.
Probably the primary one. Running away from things, like a bad experience that has happened, which births the motivation for me to do things so that doesn't happen again. Or to see something happen in someone else's life and being fearful of that happening for me and then trying to, or using that as motivation to change the trajectory of my life.
It's interesting that you say fear as like a dark energy, because in my head when you said fear, it's like, yeah, it is dark, but it's also so like it's so fragile, such like a, I don't know, in my head I'm just like, oh, is it light or is it dark? Because fear can come about through not wanting to hurt yourself, like through good intentions, you know, like it could be behind it all, it could be light, like not wanting to hurt myself or not wanting to hurt another or not wanting to intrude on something, or like, you know, having quite like a perspective that is like caring. But yeah, it's just, yeah, I think it's interesting to see you go, oh, fear, because that's not one of the big things that came up in my head when we're talking about it.
Well, I guess the primary frame I was using was like abundance versus scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
And that kind of categorized it for me initially. But yeah, like fear is more grey, I would say, because the intention isn't always necessarily dark. Like anger is definitely a dark energy. And it's not something that I use a lot personally, but I know that a lot of people do. And
Have you in the past?
yeah, I think so. I think so. But I think the main reason why I haven't is because I haven't had that many deeply traumatic experiences in my life at an early age before I could work through them myself. I think anger comes from having all of this fucked up shit happen and not being able to figure it out. And the anger just comes from a build up of this stuff, and it feels like it's being done to me, and you have resentment.
I think if you're not given a space to express all emotion and frustration, then, and it's something that you've had to keep to yourself, there is sort of this resentment that it's not to be shown,
Yeah.
and that pushing and internalization of an emotion, creates those dark energy things.
Yeah.
But in saying that, like, sometimes you need, like, to feel anger or to feel jealousy or something to realize, like, what's beneath that. And it could be the first point of emotion and sensation that you feel to then go below it. And you might need that outlet or that feeling to even start the process of understanding it or pushing you to get out of it.
Yeah. I've definitely felt anger before, but I haven't I haven't mastered it to the point where I can convert it into productive action.
Yeah.
Like, it usually just paralyzes me until I can simmer it. Yeah. Yeah. But it is a very potent, concentrated form of energy.
Yeah. It's like time or its span seems like way shorter, but frequency like higher.
It's very volatile.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you have a lot of it and you don't know what to do with it, like you see it happen to so many people, like it just destroys them. Like they either end up dead or in prison if they have a lot of anger, you know.
Or in a state where they can't express much other emotion as well. Like, I think anger is something that consumes like livelihood and connection. So if you're not able to, like, if you do have anger towards something and you voice it and then you get shut down by everyone immediately, and then your trigger point becomes like more and more sensitive, then you start to lose, like, your systems and your network breaks down a bit, because like it's uncomfortable to be around someone who you can't say things to because they're going to fire up.
Yeah.
But I just see pain there.
Yeah.
Like, so much pain and so much things that, need to be worked through that haven't been given the opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah. See, like, I think the dark emotions are way more abundant in life than the light for most people in the beginning.
What do you mean?
Like, it's a lot easier to find pain than it is to find love in the beginning.
Beginning of what?
Improving your life, like trying to, like, if you're at the bottom.
So you don't mean like as a child, or?
It could be, but where you are now, you're on the spectrum of like things are going really great or things are not. And wherever you are, there's a point, unless you're like right at the top and things are amazing, you can always find stuff. And it's generally a lot easier to find stuff that isn't going well. And the people that I've noticed that is one of the strongest gifts that you can have if you do learn to use it. Like, almost all, I would say, of the highly successful people in sports, in business, in anything, like I'm talking ultra top of the top, best of the best, use that type of energy to get them to get better, if that makes sense.
Well, I think it comes from a lens of like trying to prove something or an inadequacy.
Yeah.
And proving to themselves that they're worthy, and that like there's an injustice of some sort that they need to fix. And that can be powerful, but I think it runs out and it burns out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that fire has a short span.
Yeah, for sure. I think we as a society have villainized it though, and we would rather bury ourselves at the bottom than use that energy to make our lives better. Like, so much of I can't really find a better word than propaganda of being inclusive and tolerant and loving of everyone, just by proxy means that these negative emotions you have no place in the world. And if you feel them, then you shouldn't. And I mean, they exist and they're always going to exist. So that just creates an environment where you have these things and you have nothing to do with them. And if you have no way to process them, they just build and build and build and build and build. And I think that's why we have so much depression and anxiety and stuff. Like, we have all this negative energy, but we've just stigmatized it to the point where we can't use it for anything.
Yeah. I think as well, just because it creates an uncomfortable social dynamic for people. Like, we don't know how to navigate it when someone is really angry. It's like everyone's like immediate reaction is like, don't look at them. Like, if someone's going crazy in the supermarket, like,
that's not using it for productive action though.
No, but let's just say, like, that's why I think, because it has, like, I don't think we generally see it as a framework that can be useful. Like, that's not the stereotype, right?
Yeah.
Like, the stereotype of using anger is like, ooh, like, it's danger. It's get away from that.
And you're crazy.
You're crazy. Get away from it. You're in danger.
You're a narcissist.
Yeah.
You're a psychopath.
Yeah.
Like, we use all these labels. And yeah.
It's just damaging because it then means we've got no language or opportunity for it to be digested or understood. Yeah.
You're trying to eliminate half of human nature. Like, even written in the freaking Bible is like, we're born to sin.
Yeah.
And we've just reached this point now where all of a sudden we're all perfect. And if you're not perfect, you're one of these things. You're racist, you're a bigot, you're homophobic, you're a psychopath, narcissist. Like,
yeah.
It's just taken things to the extreme.
It's interesting because I was listening to this podcast with Andrew Huberman, and I forgot the name of the lady that he had on, but she was like a parenting psychologist and like a child psychologist, but mainly like she works with parents and families to understand like what's needed and like the best kind of framework that we can be supportive, but yet she like emphasizes this thing that parents should have is like sturdiness, but like openness, that they can come and they can tell you anything and you will be like, and all you have to do as a parent is say like, I believe you, like I believe that, like I can see it. Like, you don't have to justify things to kids and make up some story about like why it happened, or like, oh, next time you'll make the team, or you go, okay, yeah, that would have been really hard, like, yeah, I hear you. Like, even just sitting there in someone's
Well, it's just
anger,
listening.
it's just listening.
Yeah.
But even that's like not like, when someone comes and tells you a problem, you feel like you need to fix it. Like, it's like, well, that's how I feel. That's how I feel like most people would feel. You go, oh, okay, I want to help this person, so let's try and get them out of this emotion, rather than saying, okay, this emotion's arising, and yeah, it makes sense that it is. Yeah. And just showing that it's okay to the other person that that's even presenting.
Yeah.
Is like all the release that we need.
Yeah. But it's also not the final destination.
No, but it's a good start.
I think it is a step that we skip though.
Yeah. And this is mainly talking about like childhood, like stuff when we have emotions that we don't have tools for yet.
It's for any period in life, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think like what she was kind of saying is that like children are born with all the emotions but no tools to navigate them.
Yeah.
And I think that possibly people that hold a lot of anger and a lot of dark energy have these emotions, like we all have them, but they don't have the tools to properly navigate them yet. And it's something that, like, I feel like just with a bit of compassion and like listening, they can start to like kind of unfold and be processed.
Yeah.
To then take it to the next level and to then go within their own time, like move through those processes and like find the answers and stuff. But like in the short term, you just need a place to like express it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I do agree. I think like us as a society is so like, it's so hard to express it. Like, how are you? Good. Yeah, I'm really good. Like, who says, oh, I'm really shit? Like, no. Like, I feel like even when I feel like, oh, okay, someone's saying like, how are you? I'm like, I don't really want to get into it. Or like, if I am feeling not great, how many times do I express that? Mainly not. Very, very rarely do I go, you know, actually not great, you know?
I mean, it's kind of weird example because when you're first meeting someone or first like talking to them, you're not just going to drop it on them immediately.
Yeah, it's true. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think,
It's a kind of a weird example.
It's like, how are you? Oh, fuck, horrible, man. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's, something you need to ease into.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true.
But on the point of like not being able to express these things, like there needs to be more room for tolerance in the area of making mistakes. Like if anyone makes any kind of mistake, we immediately cancel them and eradicate them off the face of the earth. And like we were just talking about, like harnessing this energy is very difficult, and you're gonna fuck it up a lot. And if there's no room for fucking it up, there's never any room to use it. I think that's half the problem. Like the reason we don't talk about it is because there's no room to talk about it, because we just scrutinize it when it goes wrong. And if we want to be able to have an open channel for it, we have to be open for the fuck ups and the mistakes and the things that we don't want as well. Like I think everyone's like, oh yeah, we should talk about it more. Oh, it'd be so nice, more all connect, but we don't talk about the parts where it can damage people, and a lot of times it's not going to go to plan, and people are going to make mistakes, and there is going to be hurt that comes from it. But I feel like it's going to be a net positive, because the intention behind that society is like, okay, we're going to make mistakes and think bad things are going to happen, but now it's all out there and we can use it to learn from it. Whereas if we're all just internalizing it, there's no growth from that.
There's no space.
None. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've kind of talked about how it can be damaging, like not to like squash these negative emotions and to point and blame and cancel. But what does it look like when we use negative energy for good? Like how, like I think we should explain that a bit more, like, because we've talked about the negativity and why it's needed to surface.
Yeah.
But then how do you use it positively?
Well, it depends on your situation and the emotion. But if you're looking for a really specific example for you personally, I think that's why it's really helpful to look at people who have done what you're trying to do and try and learn about how they got there, what they've been through. And you'll learn that these people are just like us and they're fucked up too. And how did they use their trauma to get to where they want to go? Like,
so could this even, like, let's just say, like, I'm just like a regular person and like I have a couple, like, I don't know why I said regular person, but I'm a person.
I hope so.
I'm an alien. I'm a person and I have people that I like think are really great in my life, and like, or even celebrities or like influencers or whatever. Like I have people that I aspire to, and then there's me, and there's all these different people around me that I'm aspiring to. How do you use that? just to like
Practically.
live a better life? Like how?
Well, like I said, it kind of depends on the emotion. Like, if it's fear, for me, I would use that to remind myself that if I don't do this thing, I won't get there and it won't happen. And so I don't want that to happen, so I go do the thing. If it's anger...
But how are you seeing that in someone else?
Well, you would see that other people have done that so that you know it's possible.
Okay, so you're looking for fear
Like right
within
in the
other
beginning,
people.
if you've got all this emotion, you have no idea what to
Yeah.
do with it. You have to figure out what to do with it.
Yeah.
So you learn from other people. And then once you see them do it, okay, well, they had anger and they had people tell them that they couldn't do it. So what did they do with that? Well, they put it in a bank, and every time they didn't feel like doing something, they would call something back. They would go, this person said I couldn't do it. This person said I couldn't do it. This person said I was worthless. And then I'm going to show them that I'm not. So I'm going to go do this thing. So they're using it as motivation to do the thing rather than just holding on to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So like, how do you see representations of that in other people?
Like, how do you find it?
Yeah. How do you learn from that and how to do it?
Bro, people are always talking about it. Like, anyone who has gotten somewhere is always talking about all the obstacles they overcame. All the people who tell them they couldn't do it. All the people who got in their way. All
So
the
just,
people who
like,
backstabbed them. All the people that betrayed them.
Listening to people's life stories that you care about and that you want to be in a similar position to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, all of it. Like, there's so much out there. Yeah. We just have to be open to hearing it and then using it for ourselves. Yeah.
Was there a time that you used something like in that framework of like, that person said that I couldn't, I'll show them that I can? Like, so you could explain it maybe?
Personally, I've used that frame less because I don't tell a lot of people what I'm trying to do, so I don't get a lot of friction. And I think that's that's an example of how I'm leaving energy on the table. Like, the fear of being told that I'm not good enough in fear that I'll believe it
Yeah.
is blocking myself from potentially harnessing that energy to get where I want to go.
Yeah. Or proving to yourself that that's not going to stop you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of handicapping myself in that way because it's a necessary part of the journey to tell people where you're going. In order for
To even
it
feel
to
it
happen,
yourself.
you have to
and
speak it into
believe
existence.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that being said, I have had people like that I've told that just go,
Yeah.
and I just remember their face. I'm like, bro, you have no idea what I'm doing. You have no idea what I'm willing to do. And just the look of disbelief
Yeah.
that I imagine them having when they see me doing it.
So it's not like necessarily even words, it's just like facial expressions. Yeah.
It's just like, man.
Yeah, that's funny.
Like, it pisses me off. I'm like, bro, you have no idea. Or when people say like, I just went blank. Yeah. But I think that's a good example. Like, you're using spite and using that to leverage it into a positive outcome rather than plotting a revenge.
Yeah.
Where your revenge is success and your revenge is winning and helping other people and making your life better. It's
also just like, what do you believe about yourself? Like you could see it in a positive framework. It's like, oh, that person is kind of coming from the view of like, of course they would think that, like, that's been their experience or that's what they've been told and that's kind of like the narrative that they're running with. And that's fine. But that's not what I believe. And internally, like, I know that I can do it. Yeah. And, like, a lot of the time, like, I don't know if it's due to jealousy or if it's due to just disbelief in general. I feel like only you know truly what you're capable of. And, like, everyone's going to have their own opinions, but choosing whether you allow that in or up for deliberation is your choice. Like, okay, where do you think that framework is coming from? Like, why do they think that you can't do it? And I think a lot of the time, if it is coming from a place of fear for them, it's just like a script or a narrative that they've Like it's nothing
never
personal.
personal. Never personal.
It's not personal.
Yeah.
And I think the personal part is like where the spite or the anger can come from. But if you translate it and like see their perspective and I'm like, oh, okay, well, it makes sense that they would see it that way. Like, yeah, that's what they've been told. That's what they've been shown. That's how they live their life. Like,
Yeah.
okay. But also like I've seen things where those things aren't true. And I think a lot of the time for me, it's like, it might not be worth even expressing that to someone. And I think I find it hard to know whether I should or not, because it kind of feels like, probably in the same lens for you, like I don't know whether I should even express my disagreement, or like I just have a different opinion, and is it gonna really be of value to express it to this person, or should I just know that like, okay, that's them, and like I have a different opinion, but that's fine, like but yeah, I don't know, like if I was to voice more of that more times, like does that give you more belief and more confidence in yourself? And like what am I missing from not sharing my opinions a lot of the time? Because like I'm scared of confrontation.
Yeah.
And I also just understand that sometimes like even if you express your views and your thoughts, like it's not going to really impact someone else because their views are so set. But also that's an assumption, and you might not be giving them, like it might be helpful for them to know more of the information and see your side as well. And there are times where you say it and you're like, oh, I'm actually really glad that I said it, because they were way more receptive to it than I thought.
Yeah.
And really I'm kind of blocking my truth and giving myself less credibility, because I'm like, oh no, like that's just my belief, but others don't think that as well. And it can be like kind of reassuring to be like, express something, and like maybe there's parts of it where someone doesn't agree with, and it always like makes sense. And then there's parts where you're like, they see it and they're like, oh, actually no, like I do get where you're coming from in that aspect, because like my parents did this and they said this, and yeah, and you get really surprised, and it can be helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's like you should really expect people to doubt you when you're trying to do something you've never done.
Yeah.
Because you've never done it.
Yeah.
So if they are too, like, it's kind of insane for them to expect you to do it if you've never done it. So like, there's that. Like, okay, if you doubt me, like, makes sense, like you said. Like, it's not personal. I understand. Like, if you told me you're going to do something that you've never done.
Yeah.
Or you've never even had a hint of doing something like that before. Like, if you told me you were going to go deadlift 200 kilos, I'd be like, yeah, okay. You haven't been to the gym, buddy. I doubt it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But you could.
Yeah.
You know? And I think going back to like, should I tell the people around me what I'm trying to do or not? It really ultimately comes down to confidence, which is what you were kind of saying. And how do you build the confidence? Well, you have to do the steps that take you along the path of achieving the goal. And you also have to tell the people what you're doing, because some people will go, holy shit, yeah, I think you can do that.
Yeah.
And that's super, like, that's light energy, bro. That shit, that'll fill you up. But there are also a lot of people who will doubt you, and you'll realize along the way that it doesn't matter. And actually, it's good.
Yeah.
And that's where the confidence comes from. But in the beginning, man, well, even along the whole journey, like we said, like, dark energy is volatile. And you go through ups and downs throughout the whole journey. And when you're in a low and you start to recall all of these doubts that you have about yourself and that people have told you, that can fuck you up.
You can start to believe it.
And you can start to believe it. And that's when you need, which is we're transitioning talking about the light energy, that's when you need to talk yourself up a bit. That's when you need the light energy. You need to think, okay, like, I have all these people who believe in me. I have all these people who want to support me. Like, I have all these people I want to help.
Yeah.
Like, I need to do this for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah.
So one thing before we like transfer to talking about that is like, there's other aspects that I feel like I didn't explain properly. Like, I feel like when I'm like fighting for my position, or not even fighting, but like I'm just explaining my point of view in something, and they're like a little bit receptive, but like, and then I keep pushing. It's like, is that confidence or is that arrogance? And I feel like a lot of the time I'm really scared to sound arrogant, because I feel like it's the number one thing that gets me like just pissed off. Like, I don't know, like there's something about
What are you pushing
arrogance that I'm just like, no. Like when you're saying, if you're confident and you're doing it and you're showing it and you're sharing it, but then it's also like, I don't want to portray a judgment that like I feel like I'm better than you, because like that,
Bro,
is
confidence is only perceived as arrogance by insecure people.
But what about when you feel arrogance? Like, you can feel arrogance.
Well, if you know you're being arrogant, then you need to calm your ego a bit.
Yeah.
But
I just think that there's a way to express your point of view that is like way more receptive than coming at it through a lens of like, oh, I did this and like this was so great, and oh, you do that. Oh, okay. It's like, I don't know.
Who does that though?
A lot of people.
Yeah, but that's not confidence.
I know, but it then makes me go really hyper aware of like how do I express it? Because I don't, and then I'm like, oh, am I just trying to express it to even like is it just an ego thing? Like what? Like I don't even need to express it. You don't need to
tell anyone.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You tell yourself.
Yeah.
And they perceive you, like they see you. Oh, that guy thinks so much of himself.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, bro. Who else is gonna? You know?
Yeah. but like, I don't know. I just feel like a lot of the time I don't say things because I don't want to come off as like trying to undermine someone or like seeming like I'm better.
What are you filtering out though? Like, what do you want to say that you're not?
I just feel like I can't, like a lot of the time I can't even express my true opinion of like how, like what I'm doing, because like I have so much emphasis in my brain of like, don't sound like you think you're better. Because like I feel like a lot of the time when someone's telling you about, oh, there's this new thing and like there's this, or telling you like it's coming from a place of like, look at me, like I'm doing this thing and I'm so cool.
Or you feel like an imposter, kind of like a fraud.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, I don't even want to express it because like I don't want to be doing that.
Yeah. Well,
and I don't need to. Like, it's like I know that this is how I feel and I'm scared.
But there is a need if you feel like you have to filter it.
What do you mean?
Like if you feel like you want to say it, but you don't want to seem arrogant. Is that what you're saying?
Like I want to like talk about my life and like why I do the things that I'm doing. But I don't want to seem like I'm coming from a place of like superiority. So like I don't even start the conversation sometimes because I'm like, I don't know how this is coming. Like, if are they receiving it as like, because I think a lot of the time when you say it, they receive it as a threat of like, oh, even if that's not your intention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I think, like I said, confidence is only perceived as arrogance by insecure people. So if you're worried about being arrogant, then you're insecure about something. So what is it that you're insecure about telling people what you're doing? Are you worried about, you don't think you can actually do it?
I just don't want them to feel like they're less than. Or like if I'm saying something that I think is good and they're not doing it, it's like I don't want them to internalize that and go, oh, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not that good. Like, I don't know. I'm just like so.
But then you're worried about your communication skills.
I guess. I don't know. I just feel like I don't want to hurt people. So I find it hard.
Dude, it's part of the game.
Yeah.
And you're going to help way more people than you hurt. If you try and not hurt the people. Like, you can't control it.
Yeah.
And it's not something you're trying to do. It's not your intention.
Yeah.
As long as your intention is to not be arrogant.
Yeah.
And to show them that they can't do it.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the time that does just mean like, I don't need to say my whole piece as well.
No, but that's different as well. Like if you're confident, you don't need to say anything.
Yeah.
That's what
And
I'm saying. Like
that's
if you
okay.
feel
That's
like you have
alright.
to say something, then that's a type of insecurity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't want to sound arrogant by saying that because I have insecurities about that as well.
Yeah.
Like I just said before, like I don't tell a lot of people what I'm trying to do because I don't want to be told that I can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I try and avoid it and it still happens anyway. So like who am I kidding?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
Just these little mind games we play with ourselves sometimes. Yeah.
and so if you feel like you have this insecurity in yourself or there's a area of low confidence, this is where you need to switch fuel sources. Otherwise, you'll burn yourself into the ground. Like if you stick with the negative energy motivation, it'll just feed on your insecurities and make them bigger. But if you switch into gratitude or compassion or empathy, like, oh, this isn't personal at all. What they think is totally justified and it makes sense. Then you just let go of the emotion and you can live to fight another day.
Yeah. Do you think it's a human need to be heard?
It's a human need to have a social bond, but I don't think it's a human need to be heard specifically. Well, it depends how you define heard. Like for me, when I speak, I need to be understood.
That's being heard.
Yeah, but I don't always need to speak. And I think that's a big difference as well.
Yeah. But yeah, I do think there is there is a human need. Like it makes sense that we want others to be like reciprocal or to be there for when we need to share an expression.
Yeah.
And I think that's just like, yeah, as you said, like social bonding. Like we don't do well in isolation and like we need to know that it's okay. Like expressing something and then the other person still being there or like hearing it. Like I don't even think it's like about them it's like them hearing it. Yeah, hearing it fully. So yeah, like I guess it is like understanding.
Yeah. Well, it's like I think a large part of the need for social bonding is like a strength in numbers. So if you have a large group of people working together, you can achieve more than you can by yourself. And for that to happen, you need to have people who care about each other. And the only way to tell if they care about each other is to know that they listen to you and they understand you.
Yeah.
Like if you're telling someone, dude, you're stepping on my leg, and they keep stepping on your leg, then they either don't care about you or they're trying to harm you.
Yeah.
And that is counterproductive to living life, trying to achieve goals.
Do you think as a species we're hearing and understanding less of each other?
What do you mean?
I feel like with things that we need to fight for things that are fighting for our attention more and more, and we have less of like an attention retention capacity, that it feels like I don't know if this is just the things that I'm focusing on or if this is the actual case, but it feels like there's less room and less capacity for people to truly hear each other.
Yeah, but I think that comes from not hearing themselves. And it comes back to
That shit's good.
the choking out of feeling the negative energy. Like, don't feel this.
Yeah.
Don't listen to yourself.
Yeah.
So you feel resentment and you don't listen to anyone else. So you just perpetuate it.
So it's like just a lack of self-awareness.
Self-awareness.
Or just awareness in general.
Yeah. And also like, yeah, pretty much. Like you place expectations on other people that you place on yourself. So if you don't listen to yourself, you're not going to listen to anyone else. Like,
wow.
hurt people, bro.
I feel like that was like mind-blowing to me. Wow. It's so true though. Like you only meet people, like you do expect what you expect from yourself in others.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of where this disagreement or fragmentation of connection comes from. It's like you don't see the same in yourselves. Like you're not focusing on the same things.
Yeah. And it's tough because we're all seeking outside validation to feel ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's just this perpetuating cycle. But we can't break out of it unless we go within. And you can't, and we're so stuck in seeking it from the outside that we don't think we can go within.
We don't even know
Like
how
there's
to
this
navigate
break in
it.
the circuit.
Yeah. So do you think then like true light energy, so love, gratitude, compassion, empathy, do you think all of those need to come from a place of awareness?
Yeah. Yeah. Awareness is always first.
They're not things that lash out. Does love ever like just happen like is like like you know how anger is something that will it just explode? Does love ever just come from like you're just doing the grocery shopping and then you go love like
Yeah, sure.
you know how like when?
I'm not entirely sure, but I would guess like anger only lashes out when there's a residual level of it at all times. And it's just below the surface.
Yeah.
And if you get explosions of love, then you get a lot of love just under the surface.
I guess it's like when you see something that's cute. Like like I don't know. I just keep taking myself to the grocery store and I'm like walking the aisles and then like you know when people just
You
get
see
angry.
a cute guy and you're like, damn.
I was thinking of like I don't know. You see like a little logo and it's like a little elephant. You're like, oh, that's a nice touch. Like that's so cute. Like
That is so random.
I don't know, like on a snack packet or something, and you're like, oh, that's cute, you know. And then you feel like warm from that.
Yeah. How is this relevant though?
Well, we're just thinking about how, like, when light emotions can just spontaneously arise. So gratitude, how does gratitude spontaneously arise? Like someone doing something for, like,
It's like a habit though.
yeah,
It's
it is
not-
like a habit. That's
yeah.
what I'm saying. Like, can it just spontaneously happen? And then once it keeps happening and you keep seeking that and looking for that obviously it'll keep happening more. But like if something happens of like, oh, go in front of me, like you're at the checkout and you have like 2 items and this person has, I don't know, 10, and they're like, oh, go in front of me. Like you've got 2 options of feeling like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like she's got more options of me. Like, yeah, cool. Or you go, oh, that's so lovely. Like that's so you didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Like, so there's kind of 2 ways of looking at it, but it comes down to like your expectations as well of actions and of what people do. So whether they're just fulfilling like their regular duties or whether they're going above and beyond is really from your own framework of like what's expected and what's not. And I guess there's like a level of like detachment from any expectation in light emotions. It's like all really internal. So it's like, okay, I have me and I'm going to do the things that I can for myself and like fulfill my needs. And anything I get above that is extra.
Yeah.
And that's probably when the most light and love and compassion and care can happen.
Yeah. Like it always comes back to awareness and intention.
But like a concrete principle or like moral or belief that like you are looking after you and you have your self-care duties and things that you know that like you need to do to fulfill.
That include the dark energy.
Like what? Like
I feel like a lot of this, the new age spiritual guru, I feel like we all know who these people are or can imagine them in their head.
yeah.
They just focus on the light energy. And I think that's part of the problem. Like they're focused, oh, I feel love all the time and I just tap into the love energy and I feel so grateful. And that's choking out the space that's required for the negative energy and the mistakes and the fear and the pain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like self-care is addressing that pain and using it for productive energy. It's not like, I'm going to do my gratitude journaling and then I'm going to have a meditation for 20 minutes and then I'm going to go do my ice bath and I'm going to feel so great. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like that's good and that's not something you shouldn't do.
Yeah. But you're saying that's kind of more like toxic positivity is seeing everything as like amazing.
That is avoiding the negatives. Like,
Yeah.
not today, you know?
Yeah.
Like all
Scared of the
you wouldn't
negative.
have to do all of those things if you could handle the negative thoughts. Like, that is not being truly centered. Those are the people who most fear
Yeah.
the dark energy. And, like, it's not their fault or whatever.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's just tough when you're putting yourself up on this pedestal and everyone should follow you. I'm enlightened,
Yeah.
you know?
So then when a negative emotion or like a dark energy thing happens, it's out of alignment. That's how it's viewed.
Yeah.
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 But really,
And I should
you
attack
need
it with
that.
love.
Yeah.
I was like, no, bro. Sometimes, yeah, sure.
But, like,
sometimes.
I think attacking it with love, like, honestly, like, if you truly are attacking it with love, you're attacking it with
What it needs.
time and sitting in it, the space, until it's fully unraveled and saying, okay, like, is there any other little bits of fear that want to, like, pop out? And, like, are there any little residual things that I'm not looking at before we can, like, work out?
I think that's a bit of the problem too, though, because a part of negative emotion is this feeling of unresolved. Like, you're never, ever going to go, well, the fear is gone. You know, is anything else going to come up? Like, it's very, very rare that you feel on top of everything. Like, most of your life, you're like, fuck, I got this, I got this, I got this, I got this, I got this. And then you just get your head above water and then more shit comes. So, like, this idea of I'm going to sit and I'm going to understand it all and then I'm going to rise above it is not really reality.
But you don't have
And
to...
you're going to be able to use violence when it's necessary to get through. Like, I have this pain and I'm going to use this pain and I'm going to go do this thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to sit and think about it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, moving through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's also, like, it doesn't have to be negative or positive. And most of the time, I don't think it's either. It's just is. You know, it's like, okay, I'm going to do this thing. Like, and there's not really an emotion that comes with it. It's just having a process. Like, I think most of the time it is that. And then, like, they'll be like, oh, okay, awesome. Like, some gratitude. And then, like, some, oh, this is really hard, but, like, I just got to stick at it.
Yeah.
And, oh, okay, awesome. Like, that felt really good. I did it. And then, okay, I've got to do this other really hard thing, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to sit in it. Yeah. And I think the expectation on timing and feelings is really where I kind of get caught in, like, this, like, big smog when you expect, like, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to feel that after, is when there's, like, this injustice when it doesn't happen.
You're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that I definitely have quite a bit.
Everyone does, yeah.
I have that a lot.
Yeah.
But I think that's natural. But it's interesting to, like, also catch it in moments and be like, I expected this to happen, and then this is how I felt because it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But if I didn't expect anything, I wouldn't have felt anything. Like,
That's not true.
well, yeah, you don't know.
I think you should strive to have no expectations. And when you realize you have them, you should strive to let go of them. Because then whatever comes, positive or negative,
Yeah.
you can make the right decision. That's awareness and that's intention. Yeah. Yeah. What do you reckon?
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I feel like we could go on forever.
Yeah, I think it's a topic that has no end. But I think we've like talked about some really interesting intricacies of it that I haven't thought about for a long time, or some of it that I've never made the connections with it with as well. So I think it was really valuable for me.
Yeah. I think the expectation thing for me was something that I can think about more. Like, when things go wrong, what expectation do I have?
Yeah.
I think I'm unconscious to that a lot.
I think it's something that's been at the forefront of this week. At the moment, I don't know why, but
Well,
yeah.
And I think going back to the start of the episode, like, when I realized I'd failed, like, my expectation is this is a life mission. Like, it's going to be hard regardless. So it really doesn't matter what happens.
Yeah.
At all. Like, I pass.
Yeah.
And guess what? The next phase comes.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
it's kind of irrelevant where I am now because I know it's the journey I've chosen.
Yeah. And it's still all of those things ring true for you. So it's still your path. and still a tool that you are really embedded with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know if I dedicate myself to the path, regardless of what happens, I will get there. Because like if I keep failing, nothing changes, then I'm not really on the path. I'm just like on autopilot and I'm not going forward with intention. But if I fail and I just bury myself and quit, I'm not on the path either, obviously, because I've quit.
So you've got to fail, learn, retry, go again, fail, learn. Well, fail is just learn. Like fail is just equals learn. Fail is not bad.
Yeah.
Which is...
It's required.
It's such a huge thing in my head that I need. Like, that doesn't come up instantly when something happens that you go, oh, you know, I've just ruined it or I've done it wrong. Or you're like, okay, well, like that's a huge thing you've honestly taught me. And I think I've talked about that before. But like failing is just like learning.
Dude,
like,
honestly,
it's literally
like
just like
society has it so backwards. Like I think we should have failure parties. Like I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
And not parties where we drink alcohol and eat shit food as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's the only way shit gets better.
Yeah.
Is if you fuck it all up. You ask anyone who got anywhere, like, how do you get there? I made all the mistakes.
And I kept going.
Yeah.
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 I learnt something. I kept going. Yeah. Okay, well, I think we should wrap it up.
Fire. We need that
It's
button.
a good chat. Yeah. Hit the buzzer. Imagine fire behind us.
Flames.
Flames. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, give us a review or a follow. Find us on YouTube, Spotify,
Yes, sir.
iTunes, anywhere.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah, let us know your thoughts. You can always message us at the In Your Mind podcast on Instagram if you have any thoughts or questions or suggestions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See you guys next week.
See you guys next week. Bye.
Peace.